Hi everyone, this is part 2 of the online pre-exam for the Buddhism paper. In this video we're going to look at where we lost marks in the mock exams and how we're going to make sure that we don't lose those marks in the real exam, how we can get those marks. So one thing has to be said about Buddhism: there's an awful lot of numbers in there. There's the 3 marks of existence, there's the 3 refuges, there's the 4 noble truths, there's the 4 sights, there's the eightfold path, blah 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 blah. Goes on and on and on, and it can leave one, frankly, rather lost, confused, unsure, unclear, perplexed, disorientated, all that kind of stuff, yeah? So we need to work on that. We're going to start off with the 4 noble truths and the 4 sights. So in summary, the 4 noble truths, which is a teaching of the Buddha, the first ever teaching, the most important teaching, is life is full of suffering. Suffering has a cause, which is selfish desire. The end of suffering is possible, and the eightfold path is a way to achieve the end of suffering. The 4 sights are the 4 things which the Prince Siddhartha, who later became the Buddha, saw when he left his luxurious palace. He saw an old man, a sick man, a dead man, and all of those things shocked him because he realized he was going to get old, sick, and one day die. And then he saw a holy man who inspired him to, pursue enlightenment, to pursue a spiritual life. So an easy way to remember it is the 4 noble truths are the things that the Buddha taught, and the 4 sights are the things which the Buddha saw. So truths taught, sights saw, right? Okay, let's go on to the next thing. So the 5 pencils and the 5 khandhas, that's something which got a few people a little bit confused in the mock exam. So I was trying to work out a way of trying to help you remember the 5 pencils. The 5 pencils look like this. They're the 5 rules that Buddhists follow, 5 vows which they make when they become a Buddhist. The first one is refrain from killing. I was trying to, how can I help you remember this? And I was thinking, pencils, pans, how does that help? Well, there's 5 pans. Does that help? Not in itself. And then I came up with this kind of silly idea, which is, I'm going to kill you with this pan, but you can't, you're a Buddhist. Okay, so trying to kill someone with a pan, you're not allowed to do that. I don't know, that maybe that's silly enough to stay in your mind. Anyway, get back to it. Those are the 5 rules. Maybe that helps, maybe it doesn't. Anyway, the key thing is to not confuse it with the 5 khandhas. Khandhas means heaps. Okay, the definition which the exam board likes is the 5 constituent parts of a human being. Now if you look at this word khandhas, excuse me, we have the word sand as an anagram within it, and that is what I did on Super Learning Day, isn't it? I made 5 heaps of lovely beautiful coloured sand and then mixed them all together. The 5 heaps representing the 5 constituent parts, the things which make us who we are, and mixed up together as they are in our experience creates the illusion of a permanent self or soul. Anyway, there's a whole video on that, but that's the way to remember it. Okay, khandhas has the word sand within it, so don't get those 2 things confused. Now in unit 3 we have a whole bunch of M's going on. We've got mantra. Now we've done that kind of recently in the first pre-exam video. Something you say again and again to yourself, a phrase chanted in worship or meditation. Now mudra, a few people last year got this wrong. They're ritual gestures as seen on Buddha images. That's what the exam board would like you to remember, and there is a ritual gesture using your hand. Now one way of trying to remember this, mudra, well, it's going to sound a bit moody, isn't it? When we're moody, we do stuff with our hands. Here's a moody person. Are they moody? I don't know. But they're screwing their fists up. That's something that people do when they're moody. Anyway, the idea of a mudra is that you're using your hands in a very kind of deliberate, in a meditative way to help. Well, it's a kind of form of self-expression, but very precise form of self-expression. Also a way of trying to give your body something to do while you're meditating, but they all have hidden meanings. Anyway, look at the revision guide if you need more information on mudras. A mala. A mala is a string of beads. Looks like that. Mr. Powers occasionally wears one on his wrist. A mandala looks like that. A pattern created to represent a spiritual reality. That one there, you can see they're basically drizzling down tiny little pieces of multicoloured sand which when the when the mandala is complete, and when the ritual has been completed, they sweep it all around, sweep it all away to remind themselves that nothing lasts forever. Okay, what's the next one? Anicca and anatta. Yeah, that really gets an awful lot of people. There is a very easy way to remember the difference between the two. It's down to spelling. Okay, anicca has an I in it, and it means impermanence. Impermanence starts with an I. Okay, so the one with the I in is impermanence. I think that's enough. That's probably enough to, you know, get it lodged into your brain. And anatta, the other one, is the denial of a permanent self or soul. That's what the exam board would like you to remember. The Lotus Sutra. Now, this wasn't in your mock exam, but it was in the exam last year, and some people got this wrong and thought, Lotus Sutra, isn't that kind of a funny way of sitting or something? No, that's the Lotus posture. The Lotus Sutra is, as far as the exam board is concerned, the most important scripture of Mahayana Buddhism. There is an example of it. Anyway, learning keywords, absolutely crucial. Right, so we can get rid of all of the, you know, confusion and replace it with this lovely signpost to success, can't we? Jolly good. You can do this, you really can. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is spag marks. Okay, this is something which has been introduced fairly recently, last couple of years. If you look down here, we've got to make sure that we spell correctly, use punctuation, etc., etc. Most of the punctuation errors people make are things which they absolutely know how to get right, like just simply forgetting a full stop at the end of a sentence. Anyway, spelling, spag marks. Here are some tips. Okay, if you look at this paper here, we've got a whole if you look at this paper here, right, you've got the questions there, and then you turn over the page and you've got to answer them, and you can't see any of the questions there. And what tends to happen is people make tons of spelling mistakes because they're not looking at the keywords there. So why not just, you know, flick back, because you've got a whole bunch of keywords all written out for you there, which you don't need to remember how to spell. You don't need to sweat about, oh, how do I spell that? You just need to look back at the question. Yeah, prajna, how do you spell that? Existence, with an E, not an A, in the middle. Look back at the question. Buddhists, where do you put the H? Well, look at the paper. Buddhism, how do you spell it? It's going to be on the front of the exam paper. Disagree, how many S's are there? Look at the question. Nibbana, how many B's? Look at the question. Tipitaka, you know, Noble, how do you spell that? It's L-E, not E-L. That's like Nobel Peace Prize. Nobel Truths is L-E. So just flick back to the question when you're not sure how to spell something. Capital letters. Buddha begins with a capital B. Okay, it's also got a ha. Ha ha ha. Buddha was happy, wasn't he? Because he achieved the end of suffering. Buddhist, it starts with a capital B. Buddhism starts with a capital B, so please make sure you use a capital B each time. Full stops, please just end each sentence with a full stop. You know how to do that, just make sure that you do. Spag marks, commas. Here are the most common mistakes that I noticed. After also, in these three-part questions for D, you should have a comma after the also and after the in addition. For C questions, after the firstly, secondly, thirdly, finally, have commas, please. You can do this, you really can. This is kind of the last little video that you're going to watch maybe before the exam, so I just want to say I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud to have taught you. You are utterly brilliant young people. Thank you for everything. See you soon.